And then after 3-4 meetings with him, then I approached the Archaeological Survey of India. Some of them came with me to discuss. And then one of my teachers who in my college where I was studying in Bellary also joined hands with me. He was an activist. A couple of more friends also joined. Then one day he could not bear my repeated, bothering. He said, "Professor, will you give a talk in my office next week?" So I took my MA. Was teaching archaeology for a small group of students at the post graduation. C group it used to be called. And so I used to take them to show the site. So I said, yes, I will come. I took my 10 students and he organized a lecture in his office room. And then I said, this site gradually witnessed the rise of elite in Indian society. And you people are one of those elites here now. So at the end of the lecture, I gave 2.5 hours lecture. Then he said, "Professor, chalo, come with me." So he took me to this complex, which is called Culture Complex in Bellary. And there were unused buildings. Optimum utilization was not there. So there was nobody to check on that. So, "Professor, you want any of these buildings? I am ready to give you." And when people came to know other subordinate officers, they were all in their vehicles following him. So they had the keys ready with them. So he gave me 2 buildings. I said, "Let me use this building." Then he said, "Okay, I have given 8 lakhs to the Hampi Development Authority. They are not using. I will transfer that money." So the building key was handed over and 10 lakh rupees were given to me. That's where we started. But then other factors began to work against me also. Local people were not interested. They were not cooperating and so many other things. My retirement was also coming closer. And anyway, that was on Arvind Srivastav. I remember every day Arvind Srivastav. And all other successors of Arvind Srivastav have been very, very cooperative, very, very appreciative. And they have been supporting my projects, museum project to the extent I expect them to support. And they are so generous and appreciative. Now they also sometimes look at me as their teacher, so that is another added strength to me. So I have a lot of freedom and also access to power which can support my museum activities and so on. Yesterday we celebrated anniversary, and of course today also Bijapur University 50 students were there along with their teachers. Postgraduate students were visiting the museum and so on. So we started that museum, and like Food did that catalog for his collection of antiquities. Of course, Madras Government Museum now gives a very pathetic picture of that situation, what Food had given to them. So when I started the museum, I was already there in the field of archaeology for 45 years, and I collected antiquities from large number of sites through exploration and excavation and so on. I brought them all to this museum. The 8 lakhs were utilized for building cabinets. It has 2-floor building. I wish one day we'll be able to go with you to show the museum.
Yeah, sure.
You'll see it for yourself.
Yes,
and we prepared a catalog, and the funding came from the Jindal, Vijayanagara Steel, NMDC, National Million Development Corporation, then Nirmiti and all that. To the tune of about 1.2 crores were spent to establish the museum. And then there were some of these sites called ash mounds, and the first ash mound was discovered at Kudithini, which you mentioned in your introduction, was now getting bulldozed by, the highway construction work. So the officers were already aware of my responsibilities, and they say immediately phoned me, "Professor, something is happening here. I'm sending my police to seize the bulldozer." So you get into action. So there was one Ram Prasad Manohar was DC. So I negotiated with him. Then KPCL gave 40 lakhs to build a wall and protect the site. And then we got 2 huge bulls made from our there is Akshay Garden, whatever it is near Chigaon. So they made 15 feet tall huge bulls. We got them installed. It's a prominent landmark now. People remember. And in fact, I should thank Jamadar. You remember Jamadar? He was
yes.
IAS, our alumni of Karnataka University.
Yes.
He, in the 1980s, he was the one who built a wall around the mound. and we carried it forward and strengthened it, and then further developed the site. Now, forever that site will remain, as a Neolithic ash mound in Karnataka. And now this cataloging is helping many new research students. So like I said, new methodologies always help us to go back. Like we went back to sites to recover food grains. So we are getting. I am having a MOU with IIT Gandhinagar, then the Sharma Center for Heritage Research, and then Central University of Gulbarga. Several institutions we have MOU already. They are sending their PhD students. I am providing my material for them to study, and a lot of new research is going on, and the material is now found very, very potential. And we are also looking at extracting DNA both from animal remains as well as human remains. It's going on. I have collaboration with Texas A&M. I have Uppsala University in Sweden. These are the experts. Then Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleosciences in Lucknow. All these people are collaborating with me. And my museum is not simply a museum, it is also a center of research ongoing. Very, very intensive activities are going on. Fundamental work is going on there. Yeah.
I think among all your seminal works, this establishment of the museum must be seen as some kind of an institution that you are leaving behind for the posterity. And posterity will be very grateful to you for this.
That which actually wanted to do a similar thing at Karnataka University.
Anyway, congratulations to you on this magnificent work. Yeah. It's a landmark. Yeah. So my next question is, you are also involved in the investigations or reinvestigations into the Kurnool caves and outside Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. Like about the Neolithic research, the ash mounds were discovered first by Thomas Newbold. He was a geologist serving in the British regiment in Chennai. He was posted in Kurnool as assistant collector, and most of these geologists, they are wanderers. They don't sit in office and mind their business. They go into interior areas. Almost all geologists who were in the British establishment, they were very keen on exploring the interior parts of India, looking at the tribal settlements, looking at ancient monuments, and coming across very strange objects and things like that. So this Kudathini ash mound was also discovered by Colin Mackenzie in 1801. And he was the first Surveyor General of India who prepared those topographic maps for India. Prior to that, he was going all over South India, collecting kaifiyas, documenting inscriptions, collecting literature and things like that, and discovered these features, but they were not knowing what they are. So we call them pre-identification period. So they were noticing them and paying attention to the feature and asking others to look into it. So when Newbold was collector of Kurnool, the one who accompanied Colin Mackenzie to Bellary and Kudathini area, one Kavali Lachmaya, wrote to Newbold, please go to Bellary. There is some such thing which we don't know what it is. So he set out, and then during the course of his journey, he entered into interior parts of Kurnool and discovered these caves, Kurnool caves. Those were the days when the district headquarters used to get the name. Like Kaladgi Basin is, Kaladgi was a district place in the British time. Now it is a small village. But you see, Kurnool caves were first identified, and after visiting Kurnool caves, he came to Bellary, Kudathini, and then Sanganakalu and so on. So normally, when in the 1870s, this Royal Society in London, they used to debate on human evolution, origins of civilization, philosophical issues and things like that. Darwin's theory of evolution was debated, and Thomas Huxley was an ardent follower of our Darwin. So he thought by that time, continental Europe, there were large number of caves which had given very good evidence of human occupation. Cave occupations in France were very, very popular. Cave paintings were popular and so on. So if you want to test the validity of theory, Darwin's theory, we should go to such places where the possibility of preserving human remains is very high. So limestone caves are those places, because all caves are places where anything that is discarded in the cave floor remains there only. It will not be removed from there. If it is on the open surface, water will run it off, and then it loses its original context. So he thought that Vilasargam caves, because Thomas Newbold had published a couple of articles in Asiatic Society Journal, and he had made known to those people in London. And this Robert Brucefoot was also exposed to these debates in the Royal Society. And when he was posted to India to serve with the Geological Survey of British India, he had an intuitive, feelings that India must be the place where one can look for original home of man and also original home of civilizations. You see, this is the Western world generally thought Ganga Valley as the place where civilizations began, first civilizations began, arose, and then the place where earliest humans were also, living in India. So with that in back of his mind, when he started surveying, he was looking for evidence. And geologists go into remote areas; they don't follow, roads, and they go into interior, preparing maps of these formations and so on. So he encountered evidence for the Palaeolithic, earliest Paleolithic settlements in the form of stone tools. Initially, he was not very sure whether they are man-made objects or tools or not, but then when he began to find more of them, he was convinced that they are man-made, and India has the evidence of earlier stone tools comparable to those found in Europe and so on. But that time, Africa was still a dark continent. So he began to find more of them. He came out with his first paper. It was published in Madras Journal of Literature and Science in 1866. That heralded the beginning of prehistoric literature in India. And after that, he began to find, as I said, he found 450 sites, and then antiquities were sold to museum in Madras and so on. So that Foote had his reputation already. And Huxley was aware, because on a couple of occasions, Foote had carried his collection of stone tools to Europe for exhibition and so on. And so Huxley thought that Foote is the right person to go to those caves, Vilasargam caves, and then excavate. And he asked the governor of Madras to, allow him to go. So he went in search of the cave, because those were the days when maps were not there, geocoordinates were not there. So he started his journey from Madras to Kurnool. On the way, he come across a cave, and he thought that was Vilasargam. But when it came out, it was not Vilasargam. It was some other cave. It's called Bilum Cave now. It is a tourist destination today. He went back. He came second time. He came to close to the Vilasargam cave, but he found another cave, which is called Errajari Cave. It was also not Vilasargam. Third expedition, he was able to narrow down to this particular cave and started excavating. Since his excavation, hundreds and thousands of animal fossils, bones have been recovered from the cave floor. Hundreds of them. And then those were very few paleontologists, those who study animal remains, evolution of animal kingdom. They were sent to Calcutta Asiatic Society. That was the center those days. When Lydekker analyzed these fauna, identified various species and so on, that record. But still the hunt was for human remains in order to appreciate Darwin's theory. So 1870s, 1880s onwards, these kind of expeditions to Vilasargam were taking place, but Foote did not find any human remain, but he found some bone tools which he thought compared to European Upper Paleolithic and things like that. But unfortunately, he could not continue with this work, because his main profession was mapping, these iron, whatever geological resources in peninsular India, especially Madras Presidency. So he discontinued. And then later on, prehistorians, paleontologists belonging to Geological Survey of India went back and reopened the trenches, found more animal remains. It was only mounting, but no evidence of human remains yet. So then what happened in the 1980s, a new area of population studies across the world began with the paper published by Rebecca Cann in Berkeley lab about locating origins of modern Homo sapiens populations in Africa, and all originating from an Africa New and things like that. That picked up a new area of research, and then gradually ancient DNA developed. One of them, Svante Pääbo, got the Nobel Prize last year for his work on ancient DNA. So he pioneered in extracting DNA from fossil bones, fossil animal, human bones, and so on. And that area began to pick up. And so we thought that there is a debate going on about African origins of both earliest human ancestors as well as Homo sapiens. So our cradle of mankind was Africa, and people were moving out of Africa. So there were these current theories: out of Africa 1, out of Africa 2, out of Africa 2 led to global peopling of the entire planet and so on. And these people also originated in Africa. So when they exited Africa, when they moved into different geographical environments, and who were these Homo sapiens and their contemporaries like Neanderthals, Denisovans, and so on and so forth. This was picking up globally, and there were a series of debates. And since 1980s, the fifth big question that was being addressed by archaeologists and paleoanthropologists is emergence of modern humans, their point of time of their origin, and then exit from Africa into other parts, and their dispersal paths. So this began. Then I said, we thought again, yes, the caves are the ideal places where we can get evidence of fossil humans belonging to the recent past, if not to the very early times. And limestone caves are ideal environments for fossilization of bone material. So that is where we went back to Villasargam cave. And when we were working at Villasargam, initial frustration led us to take transect surveys in the weekends in other areas. And then we, converged on to Jwalapuram, where we had this primary ash very well preserved. And between Villasargam and Jwalapuram, we had to negotiate a difficult, Eastern Ghats, Errajari mountain. They are not mountains, Errajari range of hills, and huge boulders were on our way. I said, such boulders are typical of what we see in central India. Why not stop and see if there are paintings? So we stopped. I just ran to one of the, I went and touched the volcanic ash. And in Kukudi Valley, I went and touched one of the boulders, and there were paintings. Hundreds of rock shelters. So before we reached Jwalapuram, we had discovered the potential area for the study of paintings of the prehistoric period. And when we landed in Jwalapuram, I was inquiring the local people about that volcanic material. I was describing them in my own